Welcome, essential oil lovers. Today's discussion is going to be about muscle relaxation. To let you know a little bit about us, I'm Valerie, and this is my mom, Laurie. We have been using essential oils for a couple of decades now, and we love them. But what we love more than anything is to share what we have learned and the study that we've done with other people. So we put out a newsletter, and we do 2 of these lives a month. So our next live is going to be on November 7th, and we will be talking about skin health.
November 7th. Huh?
November 7th at 10 o'clock. So every other Wednesday, we'll be right here talking about essential oils. If you love essential oils, come and talk about essential oils with us every other Wednesday. We like comments, we like discussion, but we are going to talk about a few of our favorite ones for muscle relaxation today.
So why muscle relaxation? Well, I don't know. I hope we're going to go a little deeper than that, because most of what I know about muscle, I learned on my kids, who used to tell me it wasn't safe to be related to me because if I learned something new, one of them had to do it so I could practice on them. Torn tendons, torn ligaments, things like that.
That might explain why there are so many muscle relaxant oils, because we have
pain relievers,
many of them.
Yeah.
It's a very wide and broad topic, but we're gonna get into it quite a bit. We're gonna hopefully get a few of you to share this video so that we can have a few people on here. The more people, the more discussion, the better. So if you use essential oils or you know anybody who does, please share our video and let them know that we're going to do this again in 2 weeks on skin health.
Now, Valerie told me this morning I couldn't bring notes because I looked down at them. Well, I did. I brought some notes because there's a couple of things I don't want to forget to tell you that's a little bit unusual. So, and besides, I might get bored sitting still, look away. So be patient with me.
So if you're fairly new to the essential oil world, kind of help us remind you to tell us how to use them. And then the other thing is, if you're new to the essential oil world, we are using mostly the Butterfly brand. And so what we're going to talk about is the Butterfly brand. But if you use any other brand, let us know, and we can kind of let you know what you might already have that you could use in substitution places. There are definitely ways to cross-reference it. You do not need to go out and buy a whole bunch of oils if you already have some. So
can I tell them why we use the Butterfly blend?
Sure. Butterfly brand.
Butterfly brand, whatever. Because I am Butterfly. I started the company. Most of these blends were my babies until recently, when Valerie and Dan and a few other, sold it.
So we could go teach.
My husband, so I could teach. Anyway, these are my babies. They were created for people generally, and every one of them has a story behind them in my mind. So
we'll also be talking about a few singles as well as blends. We are going to start with the blend Breezy, which is actually a long blend, interestingly enough.
So why would we talk about Breezy for muscle relaxant? Well, if you take a look at the ingredients, you'll find peppermint and eucalyptus and ravensara, and they are all excellent muscle and pain reliever blends. Years ago, we were in Arizona at my mother-in-law's winter place, and she had strained a muscle in her shoulder quite badly, and my husband was off in the van, and all my oils were in it. So I went to her cupboard to see what there was, and there wasn't much. There was a Breezy. Tremendous. Did a tremendous job on that shoulder because the oils in it are anti-inflammatory. A lot of your lung oils are anti-inflammatory. As we reach pain later, the same is reverse true. Pain is a muscle oil, but it also makes a whale of a nice
lung blend if you don't have the better ones. So Breezy, while typically used as a lung blend, can be a wonderful pain relieving muscle oil if that's what you have. Okay.
Breezy has the additional advantage of it's more energetic than pain. Pain is more of a clear thinking blend as far as mental and emotionals. And Breezy is a definite pick-me-up sort of energizer thing.
Then there's Deeper. Deeper was actually formulated as a muscle relaxant and to
pain reliever.
Well, yeah, it's a deep pain reliever. It is a truly amazing blend.
Why is it so amazing? It's because we kept tweaking on it every time Valerie or one of my particular sons found a new way to cream themselves. You know?
That's true.
Yeah, we tweaked on that one through a head injury and through your car accident. And yeah, that's my favorite of the pain reliever and muscle relaxing blends until intensity came along.
Pardon me. So Deeper is actually also available as a rub, and the rubs contain a menthol, and so they're more like an icy hot. Deeper, I really like Deeper just as an oil, but I've used it as a rub, and it is mighty convenient as a rub. But I prefer that one, just coconut oil and slather wherever is hurting. That is my favorite way to use that one.
The ingredients in the rub are pretty inert, and they allow the oils to maintain their integrity about as long as anything's going to. I use the About Face when I use that. But I tend to add a little more oil to them from time to time, because the best way to use a carrier oil is at the moment that you're using the oil. So speaking of carrier oils here, when I'm doing muscle relaxant or anything like that, if there's any bruising, if we're talking an injury with bruising, you want arnica as your carrier oil, because that will relieve the bruising better than anything else. Arnica is for bruising, it is for swelling, but it cannot be put on an open wound. So if you have, of course, if you have an open wound, there's a lot of these you're not going to want to put on there anyway, because they're going to sting. The oil's going to burn. And you know, that caution with arnica on an open wound is interesting, because that's what the literature says back 200 years. But as a midwife, this is more information than you need. This is supposed to be kid-friendly, midwife, mother. We use it as a carrier oil at birth on midwives' hands, and it does not create any problem with delicate tissues. So I'm not as cautious with arnica oil as I used to be, and I've run into no problems whatsoever. Since we got started down that, if you did have a bruised muscle area that was also cut, you know, scraped knee, or, you know, maybe a motorcycle accident, I would actually use yarrow with arnica, because you would get the benefits of the pain relieving, and the yarrow is not going to sting nearly like anything with peppermint in it, which is pretty much every muscle blend that we're going to talk about today. And arnica, one other thing about arnica, and the reason we use it at birth, is because it reduces swelling. Immediately. Literally melts. Oh, can I tell a story? Away. Sure. I was at church, and I was in a meeting, and my kids were running around the building with different mutual groups, and my son was talking to one of his friends and walked into the glass door, like just walked into it. He come in to find me, and he had the biggest goose egg I have ever seen on his head. He looked like a unicorn. And my friend just went like, oh my gosh. And I ran home. I live 2 blocks from the church, and I rubbed arnica on, and I brought him back so he could finish his activities. And she saw him, you know, 10 minutes later, she's like, where did it go? It was just gone. I mean, there was a tiny little amount that, I mean, if you knew it had been there, you could see it. And she was just like, I've never seen anything like that. Arnica is amazing. It's not an essential oil. It's a fixed oil. But as a carrier in any type of situation like this, it's amazing. I've seen it just dissolve swollen tissue and slip a baby's head. It's amazing. So arnica as a carrier oil, because it is a fixed or soaked oil, storing it in the fridge is probably a good idea. Hey, and if you're doing fairly large molecules, with swelling, cold is a good idea too. Cold is a good thing. So having some, I have one that's in my fridge, but I have one that's just floating around wherever. I keep a small one too, the small one out too, because sometimes you don't want cold. Sometimes you don't. Well, that sidetracked us a ways off. That did. This could be really long and get the two of us talking. Okay, so our next oil is Fortitude, and Fortitude is one of the newest blends from the butterfly lineup, and it is related to, I guess you could say, a relative of intensity. And the reason is intensity is actually in Fortitude. Fortitude is one of the 2 blends that is a blend of blends. And so it contains pain, it contains deeper, it contains some amazing muscle relaxant oils, but it also contains tranquility, which is for panic attacks, anxiety. It's the greatest emotional blend that the butterfly line has. And so Fortitude, its strength in muscle relaxant relies in things that are ongoing, over the years, arthritis type, or maybe brought on by diabetes type, long term, where there's that I'm never going to get better and I'm going to be sick forever. Fortitude not only helps with the pain, but it also helps with that attitude of I can't get any better. So Fortitude is an emotional oil every bit as much as it is a muscle oil. It's so deep. It's like you feel those five emotional blend layers just kind of, and it surprised me that the tranquility effect, blended as it is with 4 other blends, is there. That's, I've seen tranquility stop a panic attack absolutely cold. So in Fortitude, it is an absolutely, I'm more likely to grab intensity if I have tight muscles or a headache because of blood supply issues. I'm more likely to grab intensity. But if I know that I've had an emotionally challenging day, I'm going to grab Fortitude instead, just because it may help with some of those things. And intensity, since it's next anyway, contains camphor. I can't believe they got away with that when I was anywhere near the building. I've always believed that camphor negates homeopathics, and I think it does in quantity, but this intensity doesn't seem to affect it. It also contains capsicum. That's Latin speak for cayenne. So intensity
It is
That's why they
intense.
named it. It's an intense blend.
It's hot.
Some days it's just too much.
If you like the icy hot feel, if you were to put Breezy on your shoulders, you would feel that menthol cooling of peppermint. But if you rub intensity on, you get more of the warm of the cayenne. It's not enough to irritate the skin and burn it, especially if it's used in a carrier oil, but it is definitely warm. Now, an interesting note is water intensifies oils. So you put intensity on, and then a few minutes later you get in the bathtub. This is a bad idea.
Oh, and one other really bad idea that I did the other day when I put some on my neck to exercise, don't touch your eyes. Don't stick your fingers in your eyes or in your mouth.
So, but we have a couple of people who will do that intentionally. They will put intensity on, they will wait exactly 10 minutes, and then they will get in the shower to intensify it. These are mostly men that are doing this, and they enjoy that. It gives it even that much more of a push. I'm
scary.
A wimp.
No way. No. Well, I guess I do that. I put it on and exercise, then go get in the shower.
Sweat,
but it's half hour,
but it's been half an hour later. Yeah. Good morning, Bonnie. It's good to see you. And good morning, Jolene. Wow. People commenting. I like comments. I prefer the breakup. I don't
have
like
to put on these bright red glasses to read them. That's terrible.
I'll do too.
Okay, good.
Says good morning and hello. Okay, so that's Fortitude and Intensity, and they are probably my two favorite for muscle relaxant. And Intensity is also available in a rub, and that one actually sits by my bed, and that's my go-to. Pain. Pain is probably our original muscle relaxing blend. It's one of the original 20 blends of Butterfly Express. It's been around forever, and it is peppermint. It is amazing. It is loved by many. It is still one that I will use on my children. Intensity is a little bit strong for children. I'll use it on my teenagers. I don't use it on my little kids. I still go back to my Pain. Hello from Emerald Wellness.
My husband prefers Pain. She talked about the original 20 blends. Valerie told me once I had to quit at 50. What are we up to now? What is Butterfly up to now?
They're over 100, but the last few were not yours.
They're not mine.
They're not. In fact, one of them, the Intensity, is my husband's, and I'm incredibly proud of him.
I'm very proud of him.
So we've had a few more hellos from Emily Hunt and Sarah Collins.
I know who that is.
Kim Jones.
I know her too.
And Megan Spencer. We've had hello and good morning.
So where are you going now? Are you going to Patches?
Yes. Megan Spencer says that Pain is one of her favorites too. Pain is quite strong, and again, you want to dilute all of these. Any one of these that you're using, you're going to want to dilute in some sort of a carrier oil, and of course, Arnica is our first choice. So yes, Patches is our next one, and this one is interesting. I know she has a story.
Patches was actually created for a young man who he was headed to the state high school wrestling championship, and he pulled a tendon in his ankle. And that's what we did. We came up with a blend to hold that tendon and cut the pain so he could get through that wrestling meet, and he did well at it. And it has proved to be an amazing blend. But what surprised me was I sent it out among different energy workers and Foot Zone friends and different people to get their evaluation of it, because it wasn't one I took 2 or 3 months to consider and think of and put together and pray and cogitate over. And what I got back from my energy friends was a lot of comments about what it did to repair holes in the aura or to work with the Celtic grid. Different energy workers, the physical properties of it as a tendon blend just didn't even make the returns.
It's used for a lot of emotional. So that Patches, I always think of Patches as a sports injury, and I tend to layer it with Tendicare, which was actually formulated to repair tendons. I think Tendicare more of a long-term.
Can I tell them why it got named Patches?
Sure.
I promised to be nice this morning.
Okay.
My husband refers to himself on a bad day as Patches Jones. He's my most accident-prone family member. Nearly. I don't know. It's close. But so it got named Patches for that reason.
Okay. And so Tendicare is the one that I will use long-term for tendons that have been pulled or that were injured even a long time ago. Old injuries is I tend to reach more for Tendicare, and I'm not sure why that is. It's just over time and experience that has what works for me. If it's an older injury, Patches is going to help a little bit, but Tendicare is way better.
Tendicare was named that because of the emotional components. It's a blend for both sudden injuries that were traumatic, that left you almost depressed, or that chronic long-term pain that is depressing. Tendicare is a very, very special blend.
I'd be using my Fortitude now too, though. Just
Yes, well, but you know, for 22 years we didn't have Fortitude.
That's true. Fortitude, I love Fortitude.
Yes,
all right.
Fortitude.
So warm down.
Don't skip Quiet Essence.
Oh,
I have pages of
that's
things
right.
to say about
Quiet Essence is the one we're diffusing this morning. See, we have our.
I have it on my
Quiet
wrist.
Essence.
I have it everywhere.
Yes, we're smelling that.
The reason I wanted to stop and talk about Quiet Essence was because of the ingredients that are in it. There's lavender, orange, and rosewood, which rosewood is an amazing oil. Those are pretty gentle little things. Yep. But there's also rue and St. John's wort and valerian, and I want to talk about those.
Rue is on the most people don't use list unless it's in a blend. So I don't think we even sell that one singly. It's just in a blend, isn't it?
Well, and it's something I'm very careful with.
We didn't.
Even as an herb. I'm trying to find it in here. It's hiding from me.
Rue?
Yeah, because I circled a couple of things. One of the things about rue, as it's a nervine, but a lot of people have said that it's absolutely, positively, never ever to be used, and certainly never to be used by a pregnant woman.
But in a blend, it's just fine. Quiet Essence is one of my favorite blends when I was pregnant. It's emotional, so why does it work on muscles?
You know, that's a really hard question, but I can answer it. No.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought of this one for muscles.
One of the emotional components of rue is that feeling of regret or grief. In my opinion, rue goes into the cellular structure of the muscle. And what you have when you're dealing with, I mean, when I first heard cellular memory years ago, I thought, oh, wow, you know, new agey stuff that. But then I lived a lot longer, and I realized, and there's scientific studies out there to prove it, that rue is absolutely essential for releasing that cellular memory. I'm also a craniosacral therapist, so I know what these energies, so is Valerie, what they feel like in the body. But what I've learned over the years is that when we have been badly hurt, and oddly enough, some of the worst pain I have seen was pretty minor abuse. Perception, the mood you were in the day it happened can make a big difference. What people do when there's three ways we react to that. We either go into denial mode, you know.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. We suppress the memories. But the second stage of suppression of memories is to suppress anything that doesn't fit your scenario. It's like we rewrite the history, and then we only remember things that support our perception. And the third stage, if you live with that kind of cellular pain long enough, is vengeance. And of course, the fourth stage of having retaliated and gone after somebody is regret. And that is the layer of cellular memory that rue goes into. It goes into the regret. And I don't think any of us skate through life without regret, no matter what. So rue relaxes the nerves, and it helps you sleep. And it's in this blend in such a tiny percentage that
it's still safe for pregnant women.
I think it's perfectly safe.
And it smells good. Rue is not a great smelling oil. Neither is St. John's wort or valerian.
Valerian smells like a dead mouse in a dirty sock.
Exactly. But this blend still smells amazing. I love the smell of it. It's one of my favorite ones to diffuse, but layered with some of your other muscle relaxing pain oils, it does help with that. Maybe unlocking some of the physical issues or emotional issues that are not letting the physical things heal.
So let's talk about St. John's wort for a moment. As an herb, it's called hypericum, and that's what it's called as a homeopathic or blessed water. Amazing. It's probably one of the greatest nervines ever. But something you need to know about St. John's wort, and something you won't hear out there in the whole world because people run all over the place taking St. John's wort, and it's a favorite thing. But it's one of those herbs that really isn't all that effective by itself. It needs to travel with companions. It's
also not to be used when you're pregnant by itself, but in a blend, it's much safer.
Why? Why don't you use St. John's wort when you're pregnant?
Because
it actually, as an herb, is used following birth to make sure every little bit of placenta and stuff has come out. It's not something, but here again, there is such a tiny bit of it in here and some of the other oils that are in there mitigate it, and
Yes, they will.
I think it's perfectly safe in quiet essence in pregnancy.
Yep. St. John's is one of the great anti-inflammatory oils as well.
Yes, it is. And yeah,
Not
muscle
just nerves.
spasms of your legs,
Which
as you're
makes
falling
quiet
asleep,
essence
you know.
Pretty good
It's just-
muscle relaxant oil by itself. I would layer it with something else just so that you're hitting both the oxygenating properties. Probably something with peppermint, maybe pain, probably pain. Breezy if I didn't have pain.
So the last piece of quiet essence, I know we've been stuck on it too long, but get over it.
No, it's all right. It's valerian.
Is valerian. Valerian as an herb is an interesting one. There are some people who react very strongly to valerian.
I used to, but I don't anymore.
Oh, good for you. I have seen up gathering valerian in the wild, a perfectly calm woman turn into I mean, brought her home, soaked her in a tub of lavender, so she
Not
quit
just
yelling
me.
at her kids, and I'd never heard her raise a
I didn't
voice.
have kids back then, but yeah, we've had this experience with a few people.
And they used to say that this only happens with the dried leaf. Well, the worst ones I've seen were harvesting in the wild.
Fresh.
I've never seen that reaction with valerian oil.
Maybe that's why I don't have a problem with it anymore, because I haven't used valerian in any form except
In any
oil.
form. I've never seen that wired reaction
But I don't
with
use
the
it
oil.
straight
So whatever it is
very
distills
often.
out of it in the oil. But I love valerian personally,
Okay.
except for the smell. Like I said, it reminds me of a dead mouse.
I wish I could take the lid off and let everybody smell this oil.
I wish I could
Technology.
too.
Used to be so much fun when we
I'm
taught
much
these.
calmer than when we got here.
When we taught these classes in person, we could pass those around and everybody could smell them. It's kind of hard doing it live that way, but we can tell you about what's in it and you can get kind of an idea.
So I love Quiet Essence is one of my favorite blends, and I got up in a real mood this morning. Oh, she's mellowed me right out.
Yes.
I
All right.
did some before I got here.
Warm Down is the #1 anti-inflammatory. If the pain is being caused by swelling and inflammation, Warm Down is the #1 oil for that. And it's exactly just the way it sounds. It just kind of calms the muscles down.
But it's a mild warm as opposed to
It's,
intensity.
yeah, it's not like it has kind of, it's not
burn
hot.
here.
It's just that it's more of a calming it down. I can tell you what's in Warm Down. Might take me a minute.
I probably could too. I don't know.
Can't do it off the top of your head anymore.
I don't know. I used to. Good. What happened to
It's
me?
been.
Oh, I know what there is about Warm Down I don't like. It's that black licorice smell. That's why
You're not. It's got fennel, and you. Oh, it doesn't have fennel.
No, I don't know why it has a black
It does have a
licorice
black licorice
smell, but it's
So Warm Down contains basil.
basil. That's what it is.
So you don't like. I like basil. Cypress. It contains fir. Of course, you got your lavender and marjoram, and then it also contains wintergreen, which is the only little bit of cooling bite that it has. Warm Down is really not. It's not really warm and it's not really cooling. It's just really good for inflammation, and it's an amazing anti-inflammatory. In a pinch, if you don't have Breezy or Aspire, it can also be used in the respiratory system. Warm Down is one I really like to layer with pain. I'll use pain for the peppermint and to bring in the oxygenating properties, and then I'll use Warm Down for the anti-inflammatory.
Warm Down is a sports injury kind of thing.
You could layer it with patches for sports injury.
One of the benefits of Warm Down is that it seems to cause the body to absorb calcium. So I'm going to tolerate the black licorice smell of Warm Down if I ever break a bone, which as far as I know, I've never done.
Lucky you.
Yeah, yes. She does those for both of us.
I haven't done one for a while, so knock on wood, there isn't any. So pain and Warm Down are great to be layered together, and Pain Deeper and Warm Down were the original 3 muscle oils and are frequently layered together. And that got me thinking, I say layered together and I just assume that everybody out there knows what I'm talking about. But when you layer an oil, this is how you do it. You put the carrier in your hand, so a little bit of coconut in your hand, and you're going to add 1 or 2 drops of your first oil, and it doesn't really matter what your first oil is. If I'm working on someone who's got tight muscles, I'm going to probably start with Linea because it's a structural realigner first. I can make sure everything's lined back up. Because if things are out of place, then you're still going to have tension. You're still going to have muscles.
Can I comment there?
Sure.
Depends on how far out of alignment there is. I once put Millennia on a shattered foot, and it hurt the woman a lot.
Should have started with your pain.
Did it to my husband with a rib that had broken, was rotated into his kidney. He was peeing blood. The pain was incredible. So, yeah,
Starting
if it's a bad enough injury, I will put Pain or Deeper and give it a moment before I Millennia.
Okay, so you got your carrier oil, you got your first oil, whatever it may be. In this instance, we're going to pretend like it's Millennia.
Okay.
Okay, you rub that all over the back, and then you take the next oil and you just add a few drops either to your hand or to the back. you don't need more carrier oil, and you put that one down. If you're doing more than 2, say you're doing 3 or 4, and the oil has absorbed into the skin, you can use more carrier again, but it's just kind of a preference thing. After the first round of carrier, you don't need it unless the body has sucked it in and said, oh, I like that, give me more.
So how long does it need to be between? People
That's
ask that a lot. And, 5 seconds.
As long as it takes you to do the
as long as it takes you to
put the other lid back on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, oils absorb into the body extremely
Very quickly.
And the body sorts it when it gets done anyway. So,
yep. Okay, so that's warmed down. Now we're going to talk about a few singles. Singles are really interesting. We prefer blends just because if you don't hit it exactly, there's going to be something in there that's going to be a benefit to you. And blends are amazing. You get a whole bunch of little people playing together in a blend when there's synergy, and there's so much more power in numbers.
It's like, as I've said a million times, it's like eating a chocolate cake or eating the ingredients of the cake separately.
Cake. Blends are so much better. But there are a few really good to be mentioned for muscle relaxant, and the first one is Cajaput. It's an interesting little name, Cajaput. Anyway, Cajaput is one of the most amazing cytophylactic oils, and what that means is it's an amazing tissue regenerating oil.
It literally seals broken cell walls or sloughs off that broken cell and replaces it. It's a cellular regenerator.
It's an amazing oil
thing.
For regenerating.
Heliochrysum is another one. There are a lot of them, but
heliochrysum is absolutely amazing. It's a lot more expensive than Cajaput. Of course, it also smells a lot better than Cajaput. So you could probably interchange those two depending, and you might even want to, try it for a few days, try another one for a few days, and see which one works better for you. All right.
Well, and there's always choosing them by aroma or choosing them by emotional too.
That's true.
The difference between heliochrysum and Cajaput's emotionals is pretty extreme too. So.
Some people don't want to be known as the weird oil lady. Like, what do you smell like today? So.
Well, I don't know. I had to get over that long ago.
Me too.
You walk into your local store and they say, "Oh, what flower do you smell like today?" And you've just got out of the shower.
Like, wait a minute, I shouldn't smell like anything yet.
We had a little teenager come to work for us, and she asked us about the second week. She said, "How do you get this smell out of your hair?"
You don't.
Not doable.
Just the way we are. Okay, peppermint. Peppermint is an oxygenator.
Yes, it is.
It brings oxygen to the area, and where oxygen goes, healing follows. So peppermint for any type of a sports injury, any type of muscle pain, anything, peppermint. You want to dilute this one. Yeah. Definitely use with a carrier oil.
By all means, please use it with the carrier oil.
So among the ones we've talked about, there really isn't a good one to climb in the bathtub with. Deeper would probably be my first choice. The rest of them are a little too warm to use in the tub, with the exception of Quiet Essence. And Quiet Essence could be used in the tub for an all-over body soap.
Warm down could be used in the tub.
I've used warm down in the tub.
That one
I think my first choice for bathtub would be Quiet Essence.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go home and try it.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, I like this idea. I just need the afternoon off. Boss. Okay, Opopanox myrrh.
You're taking the afternoon off.
That's right. I am.
Okay. Yeah, Opopanox myrrh. That should be in more blends than it is. We came across it kind of belatedly at a big international aromatherapy show in Denver, I guess in 12, 15 years ago. But the incredible thing about Opopanox myrrh is, well, my favorite thing about it is that it makes an excellent base note for blends. Yeah. The aroma is mild. It doesn't clatter with just about anything.
Like the name Opopanox. That's an awesome
kind of
word.
Fun too.
Opopanox.
Emotionally, precision, getting over fuzzy thinking, logical, linear type thinking. Those little ADHD or students that tend to go off into daydreaming. I have someone I think I'll dump some of that on next time.
It's also pretty good for arthritis. Opopanox is amazing for arthritis. Although if I was working with an arthritis person and I got to pick anything I wanted, Fortitude would be my first choice. Or Intensity as a rub, just because of the ease of it to rub it on as a lotion, and the hemp and the capsicum are absolutely amazing for arthritis. But Opopanox myrrh has been used for arthritis effectively.
One of my favorite uses for Opopanox myrrh, and here's the midwife again, but I'm going to be polite, is
we're not showing any pictures.
stagnant blood in the uterus. It's incredible. It'll release a placenta. I mean, it just has some amazing. But being a myrrh, it is sticky. It's not as sticky as a normal myrrh, which means that it makes a great thing in a blend, but
it's hard to use as a single.
Use it as a single. I always think, okay, now let's go out and play in the dirt and gather. Yeah, it's not near as sticky as a normal myrrh, but it is a myrrh, and it is a little bit sticky sometimes. So,
okay,
but it does make a good base note if you're going to play blending.
I'd really like to open it up for questions. It's kind of awkward. We ask for questions. It can take a few minutes for us to see them, and so then we're just kind of here staring at you. But if anybody has any questions, we've got a few more minutes, and we'd like questions. So, and then we just want to remind you that in 2 weeks we'll be back talking about skin health. So shoot us some emails, and we can include this in your live. Or I've had this question or that question about skin health as well.
And no, I don't know how to make you look 10 years younger. That's pretty obvious from here. Okay.
But we're going to talk about things like eczema, diaper rash, dry skin, that type of thing, and whatever else we come across as we start to research it out. So, all right. Anybody with any questions, or shall we let you go for the day? It's been fun.
Valerie and I love teaching and sparking of each other. I love teaching, and she must love lives. I don't know.
we could tend to interrupt each other, but we're getting better.
We do tend to do that. Yes.
We say as we interrupt each other. Oh,
hello,
dear.
back to Jolene. Who have we got there?
This one says, "Thanks for taking the time to share." Oh, that's so nice. And I like that one. Anyway, so muscle relaxant oils, that was really fun. There's a lot there. If you are looking for more information about each of these oils, you can find it on our website, which is butterflyexpressions.org. And then you just go to the information tab, and there's blends and singles, and then they're just alphabetized. There's also on the Butterfly Express webpage, which is butterflyexpress.shop. When you go to buy them, there's a little section, Learning with Loree, and the highlights of what she's got to say. Just a little bit will be on there. And then if you click the more information, it'll take you to our site, which will tell you more about them and everything we know about them, what's in them, what blends they're in. If it's a single, if it's a blend, it'll tell you what's in it. So back and forth that way is kind of really nice. We've also got a blog spot. We're releasing blogs about every other week. If you want to follow our blog, that's butterflyexpressions.net. Think about that one. So, and we got a couple of groups here on Facebook where we just like to chat about oils and visit with you. We love to hear from you. Let us know if there's, we like talk oils. We love to talk oils. So have a good one. Signing off for the day. Thanks for talking to us, and thanks for listening to us. Share this with your friends.